This is my story. I am 56 years old, widowed for 8 years. In 2017, I was encouraged to try online dating sites by coworkers. Match.com was my first choice for no particular reason. Robert provided the first response to my profile. He said I had a nice smile. He lived 10 miles from the city, and we exchanged small talk on the site. I tried to locate him on Facebook, but he said it was hacked by his ex-wife and deleted. I did find him on LinkedIn. After 2 weeks, he requested my phone number. He had a lovely accent, as he said he was born in Melbourne, Australia. I asked him why he moved to my state, and he said he was self-employed and seeking a contract in telecommunications. We planned to meet for dinner twice 1 month. I sent him a picture of me next to the calendar with the dates circled. However, he suddenly was offered the chance to bid on $1 million contract with a company in Juneau, Alaska. He emailed me a copy of his Alaskan Airlines ticket. Now, this is where it got interesting. He said that despite cashing out his investments, his bid was short $14,000, and he was worried he would not get the contract. He said he was greatly stressed, and he asked me what he should do. I told him be upfront and inform them. After about a week, he said his agent agreed to award him the contract. However, he needed to give the agent a fee, 2 payments of $1,500. He asked if I could please pay it, and I would be reimbursed when he flew back to visit me. He emailed me a copy of the contract. I agreed to help and was told to deposit $1,500 into a bank account at Wells Fargo. The account holder had Nigerian-sounding names. I thought it was unusual. While at the bank, the teller called her supervisor over to look at the screen, and they asked me what the deposit was for. I lied and told them it was for contracting work on my home. They accepted the deposit. I texted Robert how upset I was, and he told me to send the second installment of $1,500 as a postal money order to the contract agent's company in New Jersey. After that, I told him I would not give him any more money. After he thanked me for the payments, he told me that since he was setting up a telecommunications for the company, there would be no phone reception. We could communicate only by text and email. I naively believed him. For the next 8 months, he would send YouTube videos of love songs to me, selfies, and text me every morning, afternoon, and evening. I gave him my address, and he sent me a teddy bear and 3 roses with a message that said, "You complete me." I felt loved every moment of it. He promised to move back to my city when the contract was finished in June. When June arrived, I could not contain my excitement of finally being with him. He emailed me a copy of his check for $3 million. I told him I've never seen a check so large in my life. He said he could not wait to see me and even stated he wanted to marry me. Then, one week, I did not hear from him despite my urgent texts and emails. I called his phone number and heard a voicemail greeting that did not sound like him. Finally, I received an email stating he was briefly hospitalized for a high blood pressure and stress. I asked him via text what the problem was, and his response felt like a kick to my stomach. He texted he urgently needed $166,000 or he was in danger of losing everything. He then promised to repay me with interest if I helped him. Finally, at that point, I realized everything was a big lie. I texted him I could not help him, and that I wished he had actually loved me as he repeatedly stated, and not my money. I did not receive a response from him via text or email, and he removed his LinkedIn page. I searched in vain for this name online with no result. I figured it was fake. However, the owner of the company, Orurat Channel LLC, he had sent me $1,500, was listed on an indictment by the FBI. The man indicted worked with many known and unknown co-conspirators to scam at least 14 victims out of money. The victims were all found on online dating sites. The company is now out of business, and I've never heard from Robert again. Hi there. Thank you for letting me tell my story. Please be patient with me as English is not my first language, and it has taken me quite a while to write this down. I'm originally from Serbia. I first went online to try and find friends, and a little bit of me wanted to find love, maybe with a foreign man, or maybe with a man in my own country. A lot of my female friends had found love online with men in our own country and in other countries and had fallen in love and gotten married, and they were very happy. So I thought, why not for me too? I've been divorced for 5 years. I'm 43 years old. I met a man named Marcus Carrick in a Facebook group which was pointed towards foreigners looking for love, looking for friendship online. The group had hundreds of thousands of members. I think at the last time I checked, it was over 100,000 people that joined this group. He said that he was in Yemen, in the US military, and he would be deployed to Iraq soon. And he was scared. He said he'd been single for a long time. His wife died of breast cancer. He was a widow. He had no children. As we started chatting, he was telling me about all the terrorism and all the horrible things he's seen during the war. I just listened, and I felt like I was a listening ear to this man. He asked me if I had WhatsApp, which at the time I did because I kept in touch with a lot of my friends and family who lived in other countries. So I gave him my WhatsApp information, and we connected. He told me again how terrible life was in Yemen, and that he was peacekeeping there, and he had seen all of the horrors of war, and he was so scared to be deployed to Baghdad by the end of the month. He did tell me, though, that he can pay for leave to come and see me as long as he processed the payment through the UN through documentation for a military leave. I told him I didn't know how US military worked, and that was probably my downfall, because then he saw me as a victim. He asked me if I'd be able to help pay for the leave, and I told him that I could try, but that we would have to talk more and I'd have to get to know him a little bit more. I wasn't made of money, and living in Serbia, I had a simple job. I wasn't rich at all. He told me that the United Nations would help him pay for his leave and he could come and visit me. So we talked more on WhatsApp. Every morning I'd wake up to a good morning beautiful and a good night from him. He must have Googled my time zone because he always knew what time it was in my country. He sent me love songs and even pretended to get to know my language, sending me hello and how are you and I love you. Of course it was copy-pasted from a translator, so some of it didn't make quite as much sense as a natural person talking Serbian. We started talking more and more. I found myself attracted to this man. He sent me a bunch of photos of himself, some of them in the camp. Then he asked me again if I would help pay for his leave. I have to admit, I fell in love with him paying attention to me. I don't think I was in love with him because I didn't know him that well, but I was in love with the idea that a man cared about me so much that he would send me videos, romance love songs, and all kinds of nice words. It was nice to have someone to care about me after all these years of being alone. Finally, after he kept asking, I told him yes, I would look into paying for his leave and asked him how it works. He told me he would contact the United Nations, and the next day I got the following email, which stated this: "Attention, ma'am. Thank you for your message. You can now make the payment of $1,000 first thing tomorrow morning. We will send you the payment details. You must go to the bank to make the transfer immediately. The payment has been paid. You are to send us a copy of the payment slip for verification. We will send you payment details in the morning. Thanks, United Nations." Now, some of you may think I'm stupid, but honestly, I've never been out of my country. I don't know how the US military works, and I did not know that the United Nations does not pay for their leave, and military men don't pay for the leave. However, I will find this out later in the story. I told him that I don't know how much money they're going to ask for, but $1,000 seems quite a bit when I went ahead and converted it from my money to US money. I told him that was more money than I had. And he told me, please try and save. Please try and sell things. I love you so much. I'll give you money back when I arrive in your country. So I fell for his words, but a little part of me wondered. He would often call me from a US number. He said he was from Maryland, and the number he called me from was in Maryland. So I thought maybe he is real. And he kept telling me how much he loved me. I told him, okay, I will try to get the money up somehow. But a little part of me knew better. I played along in a way, and I tried to distance myself emotionally from him because in my heart I thought maybe this is not right. The next day I received the following message from the United Nations. The message read as the following: United Nations, this is a highly confidential email intended for the addressee. Dear ma'am, welcome to United Nation. Good day to you. Below is the payment details. You are to proceed to the bank and make the payment of $1,000 to the following below. Please send a copy of your payment receipt after you have made the payment so we may verify your verification and make sure your soldier is on his way to you. Thanks, United Nations. The payment details were to a woman in Illinois who had a Bank of America account. Now I was very suspicious. Why wouldn't I send the money to the United Nations or to the US Army or to some government agency? Why would I be sending it to a strange woman I didn't know in a state of Illinois? So I decided to do my research. Meanwhile, I told this man, yes, I will send the money in the morning. I spent half the night on Google, trying to translate and figure out what was happening. I found out the United Nations does not pay for military leaves and does not process military leaves. And I found out the US military doesn't pay for leaves. So I knew this was a scam, and it led me to several scam sites, including your scam site, Scamming Scammers Action. I then Googled his photo, after some instructions I found on anti-scam sites about how to Google photos. I found out his photos had been stolen, and the man in the photo was happily married and wasn't online chatting to women at all. I had been tricked, but I let him believe I believed him. I didn't answer him for 2 days. He frantically called, texted, wanted to know where I was, wanted to know where the payment was. He even said he was going to be shot by terrorists if I didn't make the payment because I had played with the United Nations. Well, finally, I confronted him. I went ahead and told him that he's a scammer. I showed him photos of the man he had sent me, the real man, and a website that even showed who the real man was and that he was happily married and not on the internet at all. There was even a news story done about this man. He was not online. I reported the WhatsApp number, and I also reported his profile to Facebook, which it was taken down. I told him I thought he was real. He even said he would show himself on camera, and when he dialed WhatsApp, I covered my camera, and he showed a video recording of this man in the military, and it looked like he was doing an instructional video on shooting and training for the military. I told him, wave your right hand, say hello to me. But it didn't happen, and the video was cut short, and he said that his commander would threaten him and throw him out of the military. I told him he's full of it. He's a liar. He's nothing but a snake and a scammer. He stopped talking to me, and later on that day, I received the following message telling me that he was going to kill me, that I have destroyed the future of a young boy, that I need to send the money right away, and that if I don't send the money, he's coming to my country to murder me. It was laughable at best, and I knew by his typing and reading his threats that yes, I did ruin the future of a young boy scammer, not a 40-something-year-old man that I thought I was talking to. Well, I feel like I was emotionally scammed. I didn't lose any money, and my heart goes out to those that have. But my best advice to you? Do your research. Listen to what they say, and even if English is not your first language, there are many anti-scam sites that you can translate, and you can always translate Google to find out what's really going on. Always listen to your heart. Thank you for letting me tell my story. And we'd like to thank this lady for telling her story, and the First Lady as well. If you need help, you can find us on Facebook under Scamming Scammers Action, and also keep in mind a lot of victims, English is not their first language. If you need help and you'd like to tell your story and English is not your first language, please feel free to do so. We can try and help translate and try and help work your story into something that we can put into a video. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Again, if you need help, Facebook, Scamming Scammers Action. We'll see you then.